Once upon a time, in a small town lived two siblings, a boy and a girl. The boy's name was Harry, and he was so naughty. And the girl's name was Sally. She was very smart, but also a bit forgetful. Harry and his older sister Sally were very poor. They often went to bed with their stomachs empty and were hungry every day. At night, it was hard for them to go to sleep because their stomachs hurt. One day, Sally was so hungry, her stomach would not stop rumbling.
Oh, we haven't eaten a bite for days.
Sally wanted to take a walk in the park to forget her hunger and left the house. She took her canteen of water with her. After a while, she wanted to drink some water and rest. However, just then, an old woman in shabby clothes appeared before her. The woman slowly walked up to Sally.
Girl, give me a sip of water. I haven't had a drink of water for days. I'm so thirsty. Of course, here you go. You can drink as much as you want.
The old woman drank the water and turned into a beautiful young fairy in an instant.
A fairy! I want to thank you for your help, beautiful girl. Make a wish. My brother Harry and I are very poor and hungry for days. All right, look on the table as soon as you get home. You will see a magic bowl. A magic bowl? Yes. When you say cook bowl, cook a hot meal. It will cook for you sweet porridge. When you say stop bowl, I'm full. It will stop cooking. Now you and your brother will never go hungry. Thank you so much, young fairy. Hey, little girl, don't forget the magic words for the magic bowl.
Sally ran back home. Indeed, as the fairy said, there was a bowl on the table.
Sister, where did this fancy bowl come from?
It's not fancy, Harry. It's magical. This is a magic bowl.
Okay, but what good is an empty bowl, even if it is magic?
Now, be quiet and watch. Cook, bowl, cook a hot meal.
After the magic words, the bowl suddenly got hot and started to cook sweet porridge.
But this, how does this happen? The bowl is truly magical, so we won't be hungry anymore.
Harry and Sally ate not 1 or 2, but 10 plates of sweet porridge. And when they were finally done, Sally said the magic words to stop the bowl from making more.
Oh, I'm finally full. This porridge is delicious.
Oh, I could eat this every day.
You'll never believe how I got this magic.
Indeed, Sally and Harry ate sweet porridge for days and never got tired of the taste. One day, before Sally went out, she wanted to tell her brother Harry how to stop the bowl from cooking.
Harry! Harry! I have to tell you something very important. Come now.
Harry ignored his sister's call and didn't come to her, so Sally went to him. But just in that moment, she forgot what she was going to say, because she was often forgetful.
What is it? Why are you standing over me? I'm sleeping, can't you see?
I was going to say something very important, but...
You forgot, huh? Classic Sally. A sister with a fish memory.
Don't be so mean, Harry. Anyway, I better go.
But once she was outside, Sally remembered what she had to say to her brother.
Oh, now I remember. I had to remind him how to stop the magic bowl. Oh well, Harry won't wake up until I get home anyway.
But sure enough, Harry woke up while she was away and got up from his bed and went to the table because he was very hungry.
Cook bowl, cook a hot meal.
The magic bowl started to heat up immediately. The home smelled of sweet porridge again. Harry had eaten a large plate of sweet porridge and wanted to stop the magic bowl from cooking.
Oh, I ate so much. I think that's enough for breakfast. Stop, bowl. Don't cook, magic bowl. Stop.
But the magic bowl didn't stop cooking because those were not correct magic words.
Dish, hocus, hocus, stop.
The magic bowl did not stop. It continued to cook sweet porridge.
Oh no! What am I going to do now? This bowl won't stop. Stop, broken bowl. You're making a disaster.
No matter what Harry said, the bowl kept cooking sweet porridge. By the time Sally returned home, almost the whole house was full of porridge.
My brother probably hasn't woken up yet, so now I'll cook him a delicious porridge. Wah! What is this?
When Sally couldn't open the door of the house, she looked through the window. And what did she see? The whole house was sticky and full of porridge, as her brother Harry couldn't stop the bowl from cooking.
Oh, this is awful! Harry!
Oh, sister, help me. I'm gonna fall in.
Stop, bowl! I'm full!
After Sally's magic words, the bowl finally stopped cooking porridge, so Harry was saved from drowning in porridge.
Ha! Hey, yeah! Thank you, Sally. What are we gonna do with all this sweet porridge now? Our house is all porridgey.
Sally had a great idea. She immediately went and called her other poor neighbors in the neighborhood. Each of them lined up outside Sally's house. While Harry filled the plates with delicious porridge, Sally handed them out to their hungry and poor neighbors.
Thank you so much, Sally. You have fed our hungry stomachs.
Yum! So delicious!
Harry and Sally were very happy to help poor people like themselves. It felt good to help out their starving neighbors. Then, an old, poor-looking man came to them.
Oh, it is true. A magic bowl of porridge. I've been walking for days to find food for my wife and children. I am so tired. Please, give me the magic bowl that I may go home and feed my family. What are we going to do now, Sally? If we give the magic bowl, we'll both starve.
Don't think like that, Harry. The man's children are hungry. Children should not go hungry in this world. Take the bowl and take it home to your family.
At that moment, the man turned into a beautiful young fairy.
You are the fairy who did me a favor. You have made me really happy, Harry and Sally. You fed the poor people living in the town and helped the man whose children were hungry. In return for your favor, you can keep the magic bowl of porridge forever. You deserve it. Really? Hooray!
Hey.
Every day from then on, Harry and Sally continued to hand out porridge to the poor people of the town. Their generous hearts became as sweet as the porridge they shared. As they saw happy children, young and old people with their stomachs full, they also lived a happy and peaceful life.
In the forest, there lived a little girl and her mother. Whenever the little girl left the house, she wore the red hooded cape her grandmother had knitted for her. This is why everyone used to call her Little Red Riding Hood. One New Year's Day, in the kitchen, whilst her mother was preparing for the evening, Little Red Riding Hood approached her mother.
Mother, I'm so happy. It's the new year. Will Grandmother be joining us tonight?
Grandma is ill, darling. Don't think she'll make it tonight. I was just making her some New Year's cookies.
May I take the cookies to my grandmother?
No, my darling. It's too cold. You stay home. I'll go and come back. and I will brew her some herbs so that she gets better as soon as possible.
Please, Mother, please. You have a lot to do here. I'll go and come back before you know it.
Okay, but dress warm, please. The Little Red Riding Hood wore her boots and red cape. She grabbed the basket her mother had prepared and left home. Do not leave the forest's path, and please be home before dark.
Okay, Mother.
It sure was cold out there. The whole forest was covered in snow. The Little Red Riding Hood was walking in the forest with joy. Deep in the forest lived a young hunter. He was after a wolf that would enter the homes of the villagers and steal their food.
I never thought I would be spending New Year's Eve all by myself. But today I will catch you, mighty bad wolf. And because of this, everyone will enter the new year much happier.
Having put all the villagers in fear, the wolf was out in the forest for his prey.
I hate snowy days. Can't find anything to eat.
Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood was on her way. She noticed a baby gazelle in the woods. Poor gazelle was shivering from the cold.
Poor baby gazelle. How cold you look.
Little Red Riding Hood wanted to approach the gazelle and help out. But once the gazelle noticed her, it ran away.
Hey, stop! Don't run away! I'm not going to hurt you. I only want to help.
Little Red Riding Hood followed the gazelle into the forest. Even with its very slim figure, it was so fast. All of a sudden, it disappeared. Little Red Riding Hood continued going after the gazelle for some time, but then thought it was impossible to find it. She had a look around and noticed she was now far from the forest. She was somewhere she had never been before. The snow made it impossible for her to know where she was. She thought by following her footprints she could find her path. She followed the path, but in time the snow covered her trace. Right at that moment, Little Red Riding Hood felt helpless and began to cry.
What will I do now? Hello? Help! Help! Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Somebody heard her all right, but it was no one other than the evil-hearted wolf.
Hello? Is there anybody out there?
The wolf went towards the voice he heard, and soon after saw Little Red Riding Hood. Without scaring her, he approached her. Seeing the wolf in front of her eyes, she was very scared and began to scream.
Help! The wolf is here! Help! Somebody help!
Psst! Don't yell. Don't yell. I'm not going to hurt you. I heard you calling out and I came to help.
Little Red Riding Hood thought that he meant no harm, so she stopped yelling.
Now tell me, what's a girl like you doing in the forest on her own?
I was taking cookies to my ill grandmother, but now I'm lost.
Oh, no human has ever lived here. And where does your ill grandmother live?
Little Red Riding Hood did not want to tell him where her grandmother lived, because she still had her doubts about the wolf.
I can't find grandmother's house from here. If you take me back to the forest path, I could find it there.
Okay, well, come on, follow me.
In the end, the wolf walked and Little Red Riding Hood followed him towards the forest. But the evil wolf had a mighty plan waiting for her.
Once we arrive at the forest path, this little girl will show me where her grandmother lives. That way, I can first eat her, then I can go and eat her grandmother. Now that's what I call a New Year's feast.
After a short walk, the wolf and Little Red Riding Hood found the path.
Yes, here we are. Now do you remember your grandmother's house?
All Little Red Riding Hood wanted to do was to get rid of the wolf at once and hurry up and go to her grandmother.
Thank you. I'll take it from here. Anyhow, it's not that far. It's the red house at the end of the forest.
Right then, Little Red Riding Hood knew she had made a mistake, but it was now too late.
Really?
The wolf opened his mouth, got closer to Little Red Riding Hood, but right at that moment, hearing a rifle, the wolf ran away in a panic. Little Red Riding Hood was relieved and quickly rushed to her grandmother's house. Meanwhile, the hunter was still after the wolf. He vaguely noticed his footprints on the snow.
I know you're here. I'll find you.
After an adventurous trip, at last, she made it to her grandmother's house. She knocked on the door, heard her grandmother's voice from inside.
The door is open, my darling girl. You can come in.
Hearing her grandmother's voice, Little Red Riding Hood was a little surprised.
This voice doesn't sound like grandmother's. It must sound like this because she's ill.
Little Red Riding Hood opened the door and entered. All the curtains were closed. In the dark room was her grandmother in her bed with her blanket pulled up to her chest, just laying there.
Thank you so much for coming, dear. Well, what did you bring me now?
Mother baked amazing cookies. She told me you won't be joining us on New Year's Eve, so I thought I might come and see you.
You did well, darling girl. Come closer so I can see you better.
Little Red Riding Hood got closer to her grandmother's bed, but she had a bad feeling about this.
Closer, my dear, a little closer.
Little Red Riding Hood was now one step closer to her grandmother's bed. Her grandmother looked awkwardly different to her.
Grandmother, what happened? Why are your ears so big?
So that I can hear you better.
And why are your eyes so big?
So that I can see you better.
What about your arms? Why are your arms so big?
So that I can hug you better.
Teeth? Why are your teeth so sharp?
So that I can eat you better.
Suddenly, the wolf jumped out of bed and threw himself onto Little Red Riding Hood.
Come back here. You cannot run away from me.
Little Red Riding Hood got out of the house and began to run away. But the very fast wolf was about to catch her. Just as he was about to jump over her and grab her, he noticed his foot was stuck. And suddenly he found himself hanging from a tree. When Little Red Riding Hood stopped and had a look, she saw that he had been caught in a trap and quickly went over to him.
Tell me, you dirty wolf, where is my grandmother and what have you done to her? Tell me!
He couldn't do anything, don't worry.
Little Red Riding Hood noticed where the voice was coming from and noticed that the hunter was coming after the wolf.
Your grandmother is okay, little girl. She is resting in my shack. When I heard your grandmother was ill, in order to protect her, I took her to my shack, and I prepared a trap for the wolf. Fortunately, we caught him before he could do any harm to you.
Bad wolf! First he broke and entered my grandmother's house. Then he dressed into her clothes and tried to trick me. But I knew there was something strange about this.
Come on, let's go to your grandmother. And as for him, he can hang here throughout New Year's Eve, and I'll take care of him tomorrow.
And so the hunter and Little Red Riding Hood headed towards the hunter's shack. The wolf yelled after them.
Hey, stop! Don't leave me here all by myself!
It was almost night time. Little Red Riding Hood, Grandmother, and the hunter arrived at Little Red Riding Hood's house. Her mother was waiting for her in front of their house. When she saw her daughter, she was very happy.
My dear child, where have you been? Mother, it's you! Please tell me what happened.
I will tell you everything, Mother, but first I must apologize. I didn't listen to you, and I left the path in the forest, and you wouldn't believe what happened. I will never ever disobey you again.
Little Red Riding Hood, her mother, grandmother, and the hunter spent the evening together that night, eating, dancing their way into the new year. As for the wolf, this was the worst New Year's evening he had ever had.